Hey guys, how's it going? In today's episode I'll be showing you a visual timeline of all the different models that were created along the way to achieving my final design. I hope you enjoy. So here we have it, the 1.1. This is my first ever design, and as you can see it's incredibly basic. And that brings us to the next design. This is the 1.2 that you'll see later on. I also called this the Blue Beetle, but as you can see none of these were really taken any further. Even the 1.3, all these ideas were ditched because I didn't like any of them. And that brings us to the 1.4. This is probably one of my first likable cars, but I thought I'd better get a better idea of how to design all of these things, so I decided to create a Bugatti. So this took me a long time. I had to have a lot of different photos of the Bugatti around me for reference, and I had to watch a lot of other different tutorials on how to use Blender. So this is my second model. This was one of my first official models, only because I developed this model later on, and as you can see it's very dimply, very rough. So here is what it looks like once I finally developed that, kind of smoothed it out a little bit. I added a grille to it, I added a nice rear design to it, and I've also included some side air intakes. This is further developed, a nicer frozen color. The front of it has a nicer design because I've included the headlights. And then you can see on this design over here, I refined that front end a little bit. I took away the grille so you can see a bit clearer. But this is what the car kind of looked like towards the end of the process. I did experiment a bit with the roof. This is the 2.5. You can see it's very rigid, very sharp, very aggressive, but also very weird. So I didn't keep that. Instead, I kept the original roof, and this is the final design for the second model. Alright, so taking a big step in design, we've moved on to our third model. So this was very, very basic. And then on my second model, I added these little hood vents in here for the 3.2. I took those out very quickly. I wasn't a huge fan of them, neither was I for that rear design. Alright, so moving back to the traditional hood, I decided to focus on the sides of the car. So where that door is, you can see where the handle would normally go. That sort of continuation from the side vent is exactly where the handle would be. You fit your hand kind of in that little pocket there, and then that would be the handle for the car. There we go, switch to rendered view so you can see what the headlights would have looked like at night, and that is the rear lights. So moving into the fourth model, you can see that I changed the front of the car a little bit, as well as the sides of it, and I wasn't overly happy with the design, so I didn't make a rear for it. But that's why I made this one here. This is a more updated version, and you might realize that those headlights look very familiar, and that's because I took them from that 1.2 that we saw earlier. So this was my second ever car built, and I decided to take those headlights from it. I changed the side design a bit again for this model here. Kind of kept the rear of it and the front of it from the previous model. And then you can see in this one, I did just a nice overall update, and I also changed the rear design of it. So it was very Porsche-like. If you've seen some of the new Porsches around, they've got that big red line around the back. So I copied that same design for the 4.5. I have that in the back, but it's slightly developed as I have these two structural support poles kind of keeping it up. Not that it needs it, but it kind of just makes it look cool. And then just for this last one, we've got it in color. So this was one of the final colors that I was thinking of going with, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. And there you go, I did another rear design for this one as well, which you'll see in the 5 Series as well. So I also had a go at doing some animating along the way. You can see this is the 4.2 model, because it's still got that old rear design. I think this turned out pretty cool, and I was almost set on this one until I discovered the 5th. And that is the end of the episode. So please like, share, subscribe if you want to. If you want to see what that 5th design looks like, you're going to have to wait. If you've got any more questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll answer them in further videos. Otherwise, that's it for today, guys. Have a good one.